If we become detached, then how will we remain inspired in life? Consider the example of Arjun. Before hearing the Bhagavad Gita, he was a warrior. After hearing the Bhagavad Gita, he was still a warrior, but the best on the battlefield. His motivation had not been killed, rather transformed. If we become detached, then how will we remain inspired in life? Well, detachment is a primary instruction of spirituality. And why? Because whether we are attached to people or objects or situations, that attachment leads to the clouding of our judgment, as happened in the case of Guru Dronacharya. During the battle of Mahabharata, on the 10th day, when Grandsire Bhishma was felled and lay on a bed of arrows, the mantle of Commander-in-Chief of the Kaurav army now fell on Dronacharya. As a military guru, he was equipped with tremendous skills and weaponry that started tilting the war against the Pandavas. In desperation, one day, Yudhishthir asked Shree Krishna, how can we eliminate Dronacharya? Shree Krishna said, you will need to go and ask him. The magnanimity of Dronacharya was such that when Yudhishthir asked Gurudev, what is the way to finish you? Dronacharya said, as long as I am holding weapons, I will remain invincible. The only way for you to kill me is if I drop weapons. And when will you do that? If I hear about the demise of my near and dear one. Now Dronacharya's son Ashwathama was a part of the Kaurav army. They decided that if Yudhishthir can tell Dronacharya that Ashwathama is dead, then he will be willing to believe. But Yudhishthir will not tell a lie. So the arrangement was made. An elephant called Ashwathama was killed. And Yudhishthir now called out, Ashwathama Amritaha. Hearing that, Dronacharya faltered and asked, Narova Kunjarova, which Ashwathama, the elephant or my son? Shree Krishna intervened and blew his conch because he knew that if Yudhishthir heard Dronacharya's sentences, he would respond truthfully. So with the conch, the phrase Narova Kunjarova was muted out. Yudhishthir remained silent, and Dronacharya thought, Maunam Svikara Lakshanam. It means my son is dead in his attachment. Dronacharya fell into deep remorse and released his weapons. He was then killed by Drishtadyumna of the Pandav army. So the scriptures tell us, look, you have the mind and the intellect. If you wish the intellect to remain sound and take wise decisions, you must keep your mind free from attachments. These attachments can even be to results. Take a look at Mark Emmons. He has been the greatest American shooter of all time. However, tragically unsuccessful. In the 2004 Olympics, he was leading the entire field in the 50-meter rifle shooting event, by a huge margin when he faltered in the last step. In his last shot, he hit a bullseye, only to realize he had hit his competitor's target instead of his own. His attachment to the results had stressed him out and clouded his intellect. Nevertheless, he again came to compete in the 2008 Olympics. And Mark Emmons was again way ahead of the field. The last shot remained, and while he lifted his rifle, he accidentally fired into the air and lost his ranking again. He received counseling from psychiatrists and went for the 2012 Olympics. He was again way ahead of the field, and if he had only maintained his pace, he would win the gold. But again, the stress due to attachment for the outcome affected him, and he faltered and didn't even get a bronze medal. So Shree Krishna has given us the sovereign recipe for work in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, Arjun, karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Do your duty to the best of your ability, but don't be attached to the results. If we are, we will tie up our happiness with the goal, and the journey will be a painful one. The goal is in the future. The journey is in the present. It will be hard labor and toil. Instead of that, if we can focus on doing our best and leaving to God all the rest, we will enjoy the process and also get the best results. Now consider Lewis Hamilton. He has been the most successful Formula One racer in the world. Over a career spanning 15 and plus years, he got the gold medal 103 times and had podium finishes 190 times. Now suppose that in every time he had a podium finish, he was there for a maximum of 10 minutes. How much time did he spend on the podium? And while racing, 23 races every year. Each race lasts about 2.5 hours and about 15 plus years of racing. Besides that, on a daily basis, he does 5 to 6 hours of practice and training. Now, this is the process, and that is the result. The philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita teaches us that attachment to results will stress us out. Taking care of the process will automatically take care of the results. Now, how do you balance detachment with enthusiasm? Remember, you don't need to be detached from the higher things in life, only from the lower desires. Consider the example of Arjun. Before hearing the Bhagavad Gita, he was a warrior. After hearing the Bhagavad Gita, he was still a warrior, but the best on the battlefield. His motivation had not been killed, rather transformed. Earlier, he thought he has to fight for his glory, and later on, he understood that his success will be to fight for the glory and pleasure of God. Let's take inspiration from Rani Ahilyabai Holkar, whose rule over the Malwa kingdom has gone down unanimously amongst Indian historians as the golden rule of medieval history. Rani Ahilyabai was forced into the position of queenship when her husband, the king, and her son, the subsequent king, both suffered tragic deaths. She was extremely grieved and desired to commit sati. But her father-in-law coaxed her that it would be better to overcome her grief and fulfill a duty towards her citizens that she alone could discharge. She was convinced and ruled as a just and competent queen. And then began a 30-year period of prosperity and well-being. Rani Ahilyabai, she rebuilt the Kashi Vishwanath temple that had been destroyed by Aurangzeb. She rebuilt and built hundreds of temples all the way from Dwarika to Kashi. She established dharamshalas for travelers. She permitted the flourishing of arts, crafts and culture while staying in her modest palace called Ahilyavadi. She ensured that her citizens lived a life of plenty while keeping her military strong to protect her kingdom. She thereby demonstrated the principle that with detachment we can still find inspiration to do our duties from a higher motivation as a service to God and to humankind. That is why the scriptures say, Santosha trishu kartavyah swadare bhojane dhane trishu naivacha kartavyah swadhyaye japadanayo. In three things, be contented. In your spouse, in your wealth, and in your food. Don't do high. Instead, in three things, never be contented. Your study of the scriptures, your performance of charitable deeds, and in your chanting of the holy names of God. Always think, I've done nothing yet. I need to do far more. Be contented in the world and discontented in your spiritual pursuits that will motivate you to rise higher and higher and ever higher.